Ezra Pound speaking, Radio Speeches of World War II. Number 7, February 3rd, 1942, USA 2. 30 years or 100. The prospect of a 30 years' war is not one to arouse mirth and hilarity even in a flighty, chicken-headed, and irresponsible people such as the United States of Americans. You are in it, and Lord knows who is a-going to get you out. The late Lord Rothermere, whose culture was nothing, as you might say, to write home about, finally decided that the English public was wholly unteachable. I don't know whether you can learn anything from history. I don't know whether you are even yet in the state of mind where you want to learn anything from history or from any other source whatsoever. A way to get yourselves out might be discoverable. It might be more discoverable if you first had the faint inkling of a curiosity as to how you got yourselves in. Now, whether you can learn anything from the disasters of England, I do not know. But I would about lay it down as an axiom that empires do not get knocked apart from outside until they are plumb gone to rot in the middle. The laws of right government have been known since the days of Yao and Shun, old Chinese emperors, and from the time of Shun to King Wen was 1,000 years, and from Wen to Confucius 500. And they say when the policies of Shun and of Wan were set together, compared, they were as the two halves of a seal, or it might be of a tally stick. And for nigh on to 4,000 years, I think, no one has dodged the facts of these policies. And from the time of Confucius, every dynasty in China that has lasted 300 years has been founded on the law of Confucius. A man or a group seem the hoarse sense of government, as learned by Confucius. I mean, he learned it looking at history, talking of Shun and Wan, and after him, whenever a great man learned it, he started or upheld some sort of imperial order. And for that reason I am distinctly unimpressed by the bombastic lies of Mr. Winston Churchill, or of the dirt of Mr. Anthony Eden. And if the United States was going to have a foreign alliance, I would have preferred it to be with some other kind of a government than Eden and Churchill. There are worse things than a biff on the jaw. Get slugged on the jaw, you can maybe get up and fight, but a long term of syphilis weakens the Constitution. No, the United States has, politically and economically speaking, had economic political syphilis for the past 80 years, ever since 1863. And England has had economic syphilis for 240 years. So now she's a molten and drooping. Hong Kong, Singapore, Canada, and Australia seems like it is tertiary. Well, as Lord Rothermere said, they are unteachable. I don't know how much more they reckon to drop before they get ready for physic. I have said on this radio before now that along about 1695 or 94, the Bank of England was put together, and in 1750 they shut down the Pennsylvania colony money, and the system of lending paper out to the farmers. And in 1776 the natural consequences of that dirty London policy of starving and cheating became, as they say, more apparent. And a year or two later Johnny Adams said to the British commander, "They were having a parley," says John Adams. "I don't care what capacity I am received in. Receive me in any capacity you like, except that of a British subject." So the first large-scale effect of the London cheating and money monopoly was the loss of the American colonies. The Chinese have a method of counting cycles of 80 years. I don't know that there is much in it, but it seems to work sometimes. 80 years from the bank to the American Revolution. About 80 years from the starting of American government to the great betrayal of 1863. Think it over, and from 63 to the present, our rise as a state through 3 or 4 major but positive convolutions, like Jefferson's revolt against Hamilton's dirtiness, the Jackson-Van Buren War for the liberation of the American treasury. Lincoln's saying gave to this people the greatest blessing they ever had, their own paper to pay their own debt, and then the assassination of Lincoln. And then another 80 years to the end and absolute collapse of the American system of government. Can we revive it? Has the country got the guts for the climb? Is there, as I am saying this, the faintest stirring of a desire inside the United States for any healthy new structure? Or are we the gathering swine taken with collective hysteria? Are there 10 men in America ready calmly to go back over the events of the past few years in America and in England? Is there the faintest stirring of American curiosity as to how a sane government could be built up? Or at any rate, any nucleus or group ready to go back and learn how we built up from the beginning? Adams, Jefferson, and Van Buren to read and digest. You can't talk it over with me, because none of you can get to a radio. You can't print stuff like this in your papers, 'cause the newspapers are not there to inform the people. You have got to talk to each other. You have got to write letters one to another. The texts and the guides you have got, that is, in a way you have got 'em sprawled out in big sets of unhandy volumes. Our publishers don't print handy compendiums. Your professors don't analyze, that is, not very much. I don't know what has become of Claude Varner. He did a bit of digging about. You have a half-dozen historians, but not all of them by any means able to take out the facts and show how they hitch together. I don't know how you think you are going to assist in a war by a money system which, as Jefferson already saw, charges the public $2 for every dollar spent by the government, just automatically and independent of any particular grafting and swindling. 30 years war, 30 years paradise for army contractors, may not be what you voted for. In fact, Mr. Franklin D. Roosevelt on that score is manifestly what they called him here the other day, the boy that fell down on his assignment. And when you think, if you do think, of the billions that have been lifted by the Morgenthau Treasury policy during the past 9 years of peacetime, God knows. God knows what it will be during warfare, or by the end, shall we say, 30 years. Well, you are now in, and nobody in Europe can now get you out. Inspired, shall we say, by the principle of self-determination of peoples, oppressed peoples, illustrating it by the determination to keep Mr. Aguinaldo out of his native Manila, you have chucked away our national cultural heritage. Relatively speaking, that heritage was the determination of our forebears to set up and maintain in the North American continent a government better than any other. The determination to govern ourselves internally better than any other nation on earth. The idea of Washington, Jefferson, Monroe to keep out of foreign shindies. Well, you have chucked that idea, or ideal, into the dung heap, and you have insulted the most highly tempered people on earth. With unspeakable vulgarity you have insulted the most finely tempered people on earth, threatening them with starvation, threatening them with encirclement, and telling them they were too low down to fight. You are at a war for the duration of the Tenno's pleasure. Nothing in the Western world, nothing in the whole of our Occident can help you to dodge that. Nothing can help you dodge it. I could go along on this line for some time, but maybe I said enough for one evening. End of number 7, 30 Years or 100. Ezra Pound speaking, Radio Speeches of World War II.